Okay, so we have sitting with us now Steel from Immortals. Steel, you guys recently made a roster move pretty, 2 weeks ago?
1 week maybe?
Yeah,
maybe
okay.
Two, maybe
yeah,
three.
it's recent enough to where it could have a huge impact on how you guys perform here. What was the team's realistic expectations coming into this tournament?
In my opinion, we wanted to go to the playoffs at least, but we knew that it would be hard. I mean, this is Pro League finals. The best teams in the world are right here. But we were expecting to go out in groups, to go to the playoffs actually.
There were, definitely high moments, I feel like, in the tournament for you guys. You beat NA's Hope, which would be Cloud9. Y'all have really had their number, I think, 8-0 or 9-0 on LAN versus them. And then also taking on one of the finalists here today, G2. I believe that was the other win you had for you guys. Do you feel like you take those as high points and learn from those, games, obviously, along with the losses?
Yes, for sure. I mean, the worst loss on this tournament was against Fnatic. I mean, the first game is always hard to play. You are all, a little bit shaky. It's the first game. But against Envious, we had no chance. We were crushed. But the main problem was against Fnatic. And we discussed a lot after the game about what we should do in this kind of situation, in the 2v2, 3v3. And that helped us a lot. That's why we could win against Z2 and Cloud9.
Now, you have a couple of different choices. Obviously, y'all are brought on KNG as your, is he officially on the roster at this point, or is he going to be a stand-in for now? So I know there was a lot of up-and-coming talent within the Brazilian scene. There's 3 or 4 players had been mentioned. What made y'all lean towards selecting him as being the 5th?
Because he was the most experienced player. I mean, we could have choose 2 great talent players, which is Horv, players from Brazil that people saw on the websites, but we were looking for someone who is experienced enough to play these tournaments, because we're gonna have a tough month in the next month, and we don't have time to try some player. It has to be the player. That's why we chose KNG.
Now, for this particular tournament, did y'all really have to dumb down the strats in order to have him come in and play as the 5th? How did y'all kind of prepare for the event, knowing you had somebody that's only been there a week or 2?
Actually, this was a test for us, because we had no time to adapt him, because he's on a main upper, which caused our team to play completely different than with FNX. So we still have to figure out how to adapt him to our play style, because if he's not playing up, he's not giving 100% of his play style. So we have to try new things. We have to practice more. So everyone knows that 2 ops works on the CT side, but we don't figure out yet how to play with them on the T side. So we just have to play more.
With a situation like FNX where, it's not meshing personality-wise. The vague reason everyone says is because his attitude outside of the game and everything there. How do you guys handle that as a team, where he could still be your friends? You guys were performing well with him, but then it's an attitude that's causing kind of the stress on the team. How do you guys handle that as a team?
We tried for a long time, but things was not working out. I mean, everyone knows that FNX has incredible technique, incredible skill in game, but something was not working out outside the game. So it was a mutual decision to have Phoenix out.
As far as then, we mentioned with the new roster going forward, is there anything that you can see that you guys need to work on with this new roster?
Yeah, the main thing is if KNG will play up on the T side, or if he's gonna rifle. That's the main thing we are working on it, because it can work, but it can be the worst thing on because if you have 2 ops on the T side, man. Yeah, as I told you, we are still figuring out. It can work 100%, or it can be bad.
It could break your economy and turn everything.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
What is the next big event coming up for you guys?
The next big event is going to be DreamHack Summer, but in the next weekend we have the American Minors, which is really important. It's the qualifier for the major.
Are y'all doing a heavy boot camp before then, or what's the practice schedule going to be like?
No, we're going to back to our house in Huntington Beach. We have just a little few days because it's gonna be on the next weekend. After that, we are going to Europe. We're gonna do a boot camp or DreamHack, and we are gonna stay in Europe for the entire month because we're gonna have ESL 1 Cologne. Maybe we're gonna have the closed qualifiers for the major. We're gonna have DreamHack, so it's gonna be like a lot of tournament in Europe. So we're gonna stay there.
When it comes to like boot camping and prepping for these big tournaments, how close are you and SK being, the top 2 Brazilian teams? Do you guys work off a lot on each other, or do you guys try to stay away from them, being that they are the other Brazilian team? You don't want to just get used to their kind of way of strategy and thinking.
The thing is, they're just like a normal team to us. We don't like practice a lot with them, but we don't practice with them. So they are just a normal team. Everyone knows that they are a good practice because they are one of the best teams in the world, so it's always good to practice against them. But for us, they don't help us on our preparation, and we do not help them on their preparations. We're just a normal team.
You said you're getting to go to Europe to boot camp. Do you feel like you get better practice playing against the European players, whether they take it more seriously, or you're seeing a different style of play versus practicing versus NA teams, Cloud9, Optic, whoever it may be? Do you feel like you get more from getting to boot camp in Europe versus the States?
Yeah, we get more like wild in Europe because there is more. This can sound bad, but they have like more good teams to play. I mean, in America, let's say if we have like 1 day of practice, if we do not find practice against like Cloud9, this team the top 6 in the Pro League, maybe it cannot be enough for us. So in Europe, I mean, you have like 16 teams like that, just really good to practice. That's the thing. That's why like going to Europe to play is like really important. You always gonna have like good practices.
Do you ever see that gap closing between North American and European Counter-Strike to where maybe it becomes a little bit more level playing field?
Yeah, I can see that. Let's take a look on Cloud9. Cloud9 just beat DCU on this tournament. Liquid are doing amazing. Optics is an awesome team. So I think the gap is like getting closer and closer like every single tournament.
To follow up on something you kind of said, obviously between the gap and NA and EU are having more teams to play against, I should say. In Pro League, the way it's set up right now, you have 6 teams competing from North America, 6 teams obviously coming in from Europe. We had a chance earlier to speak with people like Happy and Simple who talked about this topic, saying they felt that maybe EU should have 8 teams and NA should have 6 or 4 or even 7 and 5. How do you feel about the current setup of ESL Pro League and how many teams are coming from each side?
I don't agree. I think this is fair. If they have 6 teams, why can NA doesn't have 6 teams? I think it has to be equal because I mean, I don't know. I don't think this makes sense in my head because North America, as I told you, the gap is getting closer and closer. I mean, we have good teams from North America doing good on the tournaments. Cloud9 won the last Pro League.
SK the year before.
SK the year before. Yeah. So both wasn't European teams. So how can they say that?
All right. Well, Steel, I want to thank you for coming, doing this interview with us. We wish you the best of luck. If we could ask for one more thing before we let you go, and it's just like a radio liner. Mm-hmm. Basically, if you just kind of say your name, hey, this is Steel from Immortals, and you're listening to TCR.
TCR.
Yeah, it stands for the center ring. That's what it stands for.
Perfect. Hey, this is Steel from Immortals, and you are listening to TCR.
Awesome. Thanks, sir.
Thanks,
You're
buddy.
welcome.
Appreciate